because you want your inaugural podcast to have some photos. And
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing it.
All right. So welcome, man.
Thanks, bud.
This is the first episode of the podcast, and I am sweating like a pig.
Well, I mean, you did just get done doing a bunch of running around trying to get the power back on so we could do a podcast.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So it's an earned sweat.
I wish the listeners, this is the first episode, and like what do they call that? Murphy's Law?
Yes, I do believe.
Yeah.
What Ken will.
So this is like Murphy's Law. You 20 minutes before the podcast, before we're ready to go. Everything's all set up upstairs. And then a transformer blows down the hill. No power, right?
No power.
Pitch black. And then it's me and John. Where'd John go? John Kittleson. We go run to get gas, fill up the generator, start the generator, plug it into my manual transfer switch the circuits, and then I got to bring all my shit down here to get it set up again.
But yeah, you did it with grace.
It didn't feel graceful. There's nothing.
It didn't look graceful.
I mean, you look at this, man. What's graceful about this?
It didn't look graceful.
And then on the way back, so on the way down the hill, so the listeners are like, what the hell? Yeah, it's the first podcast. Plus, I'm trying to settle in on what the hell's going on. So we go down the hill. It's pitch black, right? There's no outside lights.
Right.
And you can see it out there. It's dark. And then the gate doesn't open because the gate's
because of power. Yeah.
Right. And there's like a traffic jam getting out of the neighborhood.
Of course there is.
I grab my multi-tool and then disconnect the gate so we can open the gate just to get to the damn gas.
See,
so,
always hacking.
Yeah, I guess so. So we got power on 10 circuits in the house, but not the circuit that I was originally set up on upstairs.
Well, and after the podcast, you still have to give me the official tour. I haven't seen all the upgrades last.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. All right, so yeah, here we are. This is a podcast. This is the first episode. I'm with my very, very good friend, Ryan Cloutier. Ryan, it's good to see you, man.
It's good to see you, dude.
So we picked you up at the airport today at what, noon?
Something like that.
I was late, wasn't I?
No.
No.
I think you made it in plenty of time.
All right. So this is, you can see the camera there.
Hello, people.
That's us. That's a, what camera is that?
Is that the one that John has, the same one, the 360?
Yeah, what's it called?
That 360. You know what? I just Googled this because I was like, what is that fancy piece of tech?
Yeah.
It is the...
For some reason I want to say Life 360, but that's that tracking app for families and stuff.
It is the Insta 360. Insta.
So it was pretty Insta. I mean, I set it up, pushed some buttons.
Seems pretty fancy.
It was crazy trying to get this. So you got cables laying all over the place right now because, we had to patch it all together. We have extension cords running to that circuit over there.
For me, this is just reminiscent of the last podcast I was on with you when we were doing the security shit show.
I was really hoping it wasn't going to be.
I mean, I think we were episode 12 before we didn't have a major tech issue.
Did we ever get through without a major tech issue?
We did. We never got through without a major issue of some sort or another. But hell, we did 100 episodes, so let's see how many...
We did 100?
Yeah, there was 100 episodes, bro.
Yeah. Some dogs walking around. We've got people walking around. It's like we're doing it live on site somewhere.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, but we're in Mexico.
We are. I like Mexico.
I love Mexico.
Your dog, while you were gone, tried to sweep me up and see if I'd give her a churro. And
Churro.
Okay. So we had a lovely nonverbal conversation about, her desire for the
she gets
churro and my
she was nonverbal with you?
She was very nonverbal.
Yeah, usually she's verbal. So also on this setup, I've got this XLR cable that's about a foot is longer than that XLR cable.
Yeah, that's about a 1 foot cable.
Yeah. Are you comfortable over there?
Hey, I'm loving it, man. That's great.
All right. I have this other XLR cable. This one, because you got to have the power.
Right.
So when I wasn't using this audio interface, I was using that cable, but obviously that's USB and there's no interface for this. You're an audio guy, aren't you?
I am, and I like your setup. It's nice. It's compact. It's good. Good for travel.
Well, when I went to Minnesota, I just got back Saturday, and every time I go to Minnesota, I have to stop by Best Buy. Have you been to Best Buy lately?
Recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very different.
What the hell happened?
They turned into a phone and TV store.
I was so disappointed. It seemed like the Kmart electronics to me.
Kind of, yeah.
I walked through there and I was like, man, I was excited because there's no Best Buy down here.
No.
And so I was like, oh, I'll make my walk through Best Buy, and it's their flagship store. It's like a block away from the headquarters.
It is, and it's not great.
No.
It's kind of they sell more. Do you remember Montgomery Ward's? Dating myself here a bit. Monkey Ward.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, Best Buy now sells Legos. They sell all kinds of,
Yeah.
I mean, pretty soon, they'll have summer dresses and, sweaters for fall.
So then I went to Micro Center.
The best store ever.
Hello. Thank you.
Like ever.
Yeah. That's where I bought this. This is the Focusrite Vocaster 2.
Nice.
And if you buy the kit, you get the Vocaster 2 audio interface. You get this mic, which is a good mic if you don't have a super short cable. You get the cable, you get
you get one mic
phones.
and one cable. Okay.
Yeah. So you get basically a set for one person. But the Vocaster 2 has 2 inputs, and so you can have a guest and host hooked up onto it. $350.
That's not bad.
No,
that's not. I think I paid that for my mic alone. So
it's Focusrite. Focusrite's like good quality stuff.
I like it.
I wonder how long before my wrist gets tired holding this.
Well, actually, yeah. So the squirrel in me's been watching that. I'm like, what can we prop this up on? I was thinking the napkin tray here.
This has got alcohol in it. I'm not drinking that.
No, please put that down.
Hey, who left their alcoholic drink just sitting around here? Fucking Americans. What's this? This will work?
I think if you lay it at an angle, just like that, science turns out.
How are you?
I'm great.
So
I'm really glad to be here. Seriously.
So we're going to the Metallica concert on Sunday.
Yeah.
Super excited about that.
I am. It's an adventure for me. We'll get to go to Mexico City, which I have never been to Mexico City before, so I'm excited to experience that for all that it is. And I've never been to a concert with you before either, so it's just a whole lot of firsts. And I love that stuff. I love to.
Is it offensive if every time I hear somebody say Mexico City, I hear on my brain, here's a dog. It's Violet.
Hi, Violet.
I hear Mexico. This is, we're going to tighten this up.
He's a little salty.
We're going to tighten this up in future podcasts. She's a hacker.
She is. She tried hacking me for a churro.
She's a very good social engineer.
There's that. There it is right there. That's her power move. A big old grin.
Okay. We have a script.
Yes.
What do we?
Strangely enough,
for tonight.
I did.
Okay. Welcome and introduction. So this is. I'm just gonna read it.
Go for it.
First podcast. We're gonna do it very mechanically today.
Okay. If you would like that.
I would like that.
Okay. I will do that with you.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, this is the inaugural episode of the InfoSec to Insanity podcast. I wanted to do this podcast because the original time when we originally set out with the security shit show, the reason why I really wanted to do that was it was good for my mental health. You know what I mean? Sometimes as a security person, I don't know if you feel this way, but you feel isolated. I can give example after example where it's like, even within my own tribe.
Yeah.
Because you see so many people, and I'm not saying I'm any better than anybody else, but you see so many people doing it wrong, doing things wrong. People in our industry, people outside of our industry, you know what I mean? So there are times when you just feel like you're batshit crazy. Because it's like, am I the one that's wrong? Because I was always taught, my dad taught me that if everybody in the room is an asshole, you're the asshole.
100%.
And so I'm like, shit, I'm the asshole.
However, if everyone in the room is dumb, that might actually be true.
Well, I got company, right? I mean, we can both be assholes together. I can't think of better people I'd rather be assholes with.
Right?
But so the shoot show was supposed to be this mental health thing, right? I mean, it just so happened that COVID was kind of starting then too. But then as we kind of continued down the path, it seemed like it became less mental health, and we were kind of concerned about how many listeners we had, you know what I mean? And it became more work.
Yeah.
And I lost the mental health piece. And so I wanted to start this podcast to the mental health piece. And I think also for listeners, there's a lot of wisdom in people like us and guests that will bring, onto this show, share that wisdom. Wisdom comes from experience and pain, typically.
A lot of ass kicking.
Yeah. And so we can save some people focus on ass kicking.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Well, and I think you bring that up, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I think that's an important point for folks that are in, this level of the game or have been in it, as many years. We aren't passing certain knowledge, and I think that's dangerous. So that's what I hope to do here with you today is if I've got a nugget or two of wisdom. I don't know if I do.
You do.
I probably don't.
You do.
But I'll say some shit anyways, and we'll see what happens.
You do. You've gotten your ass kicked before. I've seen it
Many times. Yeah, it's spectacular.
Well, I guess the third part of wisdom, I think it's experience, adversity, pain, and learning. I mean, if you don't sprinkle the learning, and then it was just
right. It was just a beatdown.
Pain. I'm just got your ass kicked. That's it.
Why does it hurt?
Yeah. Well, that's the why it's hurt. That's the learning part, right?
Yep.
So the mission of the show is to be transparent. There's no rules to this show. I'm sure that there are going to be people. We talked about actually some people today, you and I, some people that I don't want to be, some people that I would love to have on the show. I mean, and get down and dirty about some of the things that they think, some of the things that they believe. Because I've always, if you can defend your point, then defend your point.
Right.
If you can't defend your point, what you're probably going to do is change the subject or attack my character. And I'd love to go toe to toe with, with some of these people because we live this, we breathe this, and we're so mission driven.
Well, and I think if you've been doing it long enough, you see that there's two sides to the coin, right? And then there's that third side. And we don't ever talk about the third side of the coin. All right. All we have to do is look to current events to see there is a third side to a coin. Now, here we have private corporations that are unknowingly having their labels dragged into the public eye for the actions of a nation state. So I think
I'm just getting something to drink. Keep going.
Yeah. So I think that I see that all the time in our industry, and that's probably one of the big things that irks me is, I've been doing this long enough. Yeah, sure. I'll take Mo Diesel. I've been doing this long enough on and off throughout the years, coming up, through the tech ranks to remember when it wasn't this, when it was still nerd, right? Before it really hit that commercial wave, before the .com boom, right? And when that commercial wave hit, the motive was no longer to make a stable system. The motive was to make money. And as any dev will tell you, but I had planned to do a QA. I had planned to do these things like I knew to do because it's science and you got to kind of follow the process, except that my project manager showed up, kicked me in the teeth, threatened to fire me and the team, and then pitted us against an offshore team. Now we got to play back.
And I was just making sure we were live.
Okay.
All right, man. I'm figuring out the text. We'll be all right.
Touching buttons. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if we go dead, it's either the generator ran out of gas or Evan touched a button. But anyways, yeah, so I forget where I was going with that, but basically I think there is wisdom in taking the time. I don't need to know how a compiler works. Yes, you do. You don't need to know how to write one, but you sure as hell need to know how it works.
Better if you do know how to write one.
Good luck. I don't.
I don't either.
I'll call Torvald. That's my plan.
That Torvald guy, that
Linux dude. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I get it. And
because you can't, right? That's the other thing I'm learning. Like, I don't know if there's, for me, it's still learning every day, right? And for you, I think it's the same. But with trying to keep up, I can't go to the depth of detail on some stuff like I want to. The problem is when nobody does it.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to.
Or, it's, or the, you should, but you don't.
Right.
Right. So you leave the job half done. I'm the, like firewalls, for instance, I've always been a network guy. I've always been a guy that's like, it's not done till it's done.
But I bought it. It's in the box on the shipping dock.
Traffic's flowing.
Good, right?
It's got to be good.
You actually open the box. Oh, no. That's not what you do.
And we did a pen test. We did a port scan, and it seems like it's all good.
Yeah, it's fine. All of them were found to be open.
Yeah. Let's forget about egress traffic. So, brief introduction to Ryan. For people that don't know you, now I've known you for years. Yeah, and it's funny because I was looking at, I think I was cleaning up pictures, photos on something, and I was like, man, the photo of you came up from like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Something. I knew you 10 years ago.
I met you at a conference when you threw a nickel at my head.
To a nickel at your
You
head?
threw a nickel at my head.
Did I hit you?
Yes, that's how you got my attention.
Why did I throw a nickel at your head?
I forget. I think maybe you were aware of some of the stuff I was doing in the schools or something. For some reason, you were aware of. Okay, they told me I didn't have that warrant any longer.
And a tactic in Mexico.
Okay, cool, sweet. I'm kidding. Yeah, I don't remember how I remember how we met, but I don't recall how you were aware of who I was.
But what precipitated me to throw a nickel? Were you like talking when I was?
No, you know what it was? Is because we struck up a conversation on the way in.
Okay.
So we were in the hallway. All right, hold on. Let me go. All right, okay, yeah. So we met each other walking down the hall, and you did this like, "Hi, I'm Evan," and I was like, "Hi, Evan, I'm Ryan," and I don't think you were expecting that response, but it like clicked like, and so we had, I don't know, minute and a half, maybe 2 minute little hallway chat as we walked in to go see, I don't even remember who the hell it was that was giving a talk.
Okay.
And we sat 2 rows apart, and you wanted to get my attention, so you threw a nickel at my head.
Okay.
and thus began the bromance.
Okay.
Turns out, ladies, if you want to get a man, just throw money at him.
Well, that was 10 years ago. Then, man, it's been a crazy ride since then.
It's been insane.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
Aptly named the podcast because it has been insane.
So tell me about your journey in information security. What got you here?
Oh, I've always had a propensity for technology. I built a PC I pulled out of a dumpster when I was 8, rebuilt an IBM XT, got DOS load on, did all that. I wrote my first software program by the time I was 9 in QBasic. Yes, it was Hello World. Everybody's like, "Whoa, what'd you make? FTP?" No, stupid Hello World. I'm a 9-year-old.
I'm the only one who can write Hello World with a bug.
Ooh. Does it have too many O's? Or is it like, hello?
Oh, it's all.
Okay. Anyways, always had a love for the tech. And so, was a gamer in the early days, LAN parties, stuff like that, but never considered it a career, never considered to pursue it. The few times I did, I ran into people that just, there wasn't a good personality fit. Like, I'm like, okay, you guys are, like, I hate to say this because I'm proud of it now, but as a young man, focus was elsewhere, and I'm like, y'all are a bunch of fucking nerds, right? I'm not. The reality is though, like, I'm a super nerd. I didn't have the comfort in my own skin to be fully me. And so, anyways, I just one more hobby. And about 18, 20 some odd years ago now, my wife was encouraging me to think more long term for the family and quit working a bunch of gig jobs. I was driving trucks, I was laying bricks, you name the job, man. I do it. And as a fellow aviator, you know this, it does not take me too terribly long to go from I know nothing about this to I can explain it back to other people, and then boredom sets in. Hey, did that, next. And so anyways, she poked me in the ribs, and Christmas Eve, I ended up getting a job. I was unemployed at the time, and I got a job doing point of sale installations because I always like to travel. I've always enjoyed it, and especially when it's paid for by others. Yeah. The problem was their software was so shit that it was fucking up my installations, and so I ended up fixing the database, which then got me the attention of the team, and ta-da, I had a bona fide IT job from that day forward. And how I wound up in InfoSec was constantly running into it, constantly finding flaws and problems. And, as a dev, right, it started out as bug hunting to stabilize applications. And then I started to be like, ooh, what else could be done with this? And fast forward, doing that a whole bunch of different places and ways and tech, and here I am.
You should come say hi. So this is John Kittleson. That was the guy taking a picture.
Say hello. You got to come in. Come and say hi. Hi,
hey,
sweetie.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
We are close to the romantic zone.
Ooh, hey, buddy. A couple more of these, we'll talk.
How many times have you been down here now? Let's go.
I think 8 times if I had to guess at least.
You're like 4 or 5 or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's cool.
I love it. Every time I come down here, I love it so much. Actually, I got my residency. I couldn't be happier.
Welcome.
And thank you for allowing me into your amazing house. Amazing.
Made a life, man.
It's aptly named. It is the house of the blessing. You can't be here and not feel blessed. And so
cool.
to piggyback off of him for a second, genuine thank you, man, for having me down. This is cool to be here with you, to hang. but also to get to be, the first guest on this and to do it here live and in person. It's just
with
so.
with the adversity, right?
Are you kidding? I
was all set up, man. I had this stuff like
I planned for a fucking hurricane to happen about 3 minutes. I'm like, you watch. Some parrot's gonna fly through the window, or
well, this is the exact same spot that I sat last year in October when Hurricane Lydia hit, which was a Category 4.
Yep.
And I'd never been in a hurricane before, so I was like, this is gonna be cool. And now I was talking to Sean Riles here too, and I was telling him about the story. He's like, you were here? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, what the hell? You're supposed to leave. I'm like, well, okay. I didn't.
I didn't see any signs telling me which way to go, so
These doors crashed. Yeah, it was crazy, but it was right here. I was live streaming.
nice.
What were we talking about again? Your history. So, and then we got an opportunity to work together for a number of years, which is like awesome.
Yes, it was.
You're always the guy that, like, you always lift my spirits. So that's one of the things that I've always appreciated about you. Sometimes I don't know what the hell you're saying. Sometimes I don't think you know
I
what the hell
don't
you're saying.
know what I'm saying.
Exactly. But we lift each other up, man. And I think that's really important in this industry, and information security. This job sometimes can be a real shit.
Yeah.
Honestly. And I guess it depends on why you're in the game. If you're in the game for money and you're making a shitload of money, then great. You're probably happy as hell.
Yeah, but then I don't really think you're in the cyber game. I think you're in the business game.
Exactly.
Because everybody I know that's in the cyber game is low on sleep, bad on eyesight, bad on waistline, bad on family time. So if you got it like that, are you really doing?
Did. I don't. Well, I'm excited for this podcast, and I'm excited that you are part of the first one. You were the first one I thought of.
What?
Yeah, because we've stayed in touch, and and I know that I remember the very last episode of the shit show. It was done.
Yeah, I ugly cried on the internet.
That's all right, dude.
I got no shame.
No, it was awesome. It was a great run. So when and I've always had that urge to get back to
Dog and Dodge. Hello.
Seriously, man. So next time, actually, you'll be gone next week. We're gonna have you come back. You'll come.
I'll be on the coffee table talk by surprise.
So it's
Live at GurCon.
It's not surprising.
Well, no, it will be to Rachel, unless she's listening. In which case, I'm not going to video bomb.
But she's not watching live. I'll edit it out. So I was cool upstairs. It's a couple of comfy chairs.
Yeah.
Up on the patio upstairs. I was excited to do it up there. But I'm excited to do it here.
I feel like I have to come back for some kind of anniversary episode or something. So we'll just we'll put a pin in that.
Just come back for the hell of it.
Well, that too.
So, all right. So, and now, what are you doing now?
So now I am all in on the intersection of AI, cyber, sociology, psychology, and the defense and offense of that intersection.
Nice.
Some pretty bleeding edge stuff. I've been very fortunate since you and I, I kind of moved on to my new role as I transitioned out of security studio. I've been fortunate. I've got to go out to MIT a few times and really get immersed deeply, and non-braggadociously, just observationally.
What is braggadocious?
Means full of my own shit.
Bathrooms over there.
Didn't see representatives of cyber. I saw the business elements of cyber, but nobody that was going to sit with the engineers and say, hey guys, so that black box that you keep building that you don't have to build that way? They just needed somebody to point and say, that's a loggable event. You should log that. When this happens and that happens, as a security practitioner, that's an area of concern of inspection. So that's what I've been doing. I've been loving it. Been having the time of my life. I'm going to actually, for a brief couple, maybe an hour tomorrow, I'm going to sit you and Sean down. I'm going to give you guys a proper run through of what I've been up to with some of these crazy AI. Some of them are funny. Some of them are scary. All of them will make you want to be cool with loving yourself. You want, like, they're all about being positive. And
I skipped dinner tonight.
I saw that. You shouldn't do that, though.
No, you talk about love, and I thought of food.
Yeah. But no, I think, I see two paths, basically. We're making a sociopath because we don't want it to have any empathy or any emotion. We want it to be this cold, calculated thing, which I think is the wrong path. The other path is to try to replicate a human. I'm not as big of a fan. I do think there is a in between where if it's going to operate in a way that humans have an emotional response, then it should be held to that same standard. And definitely don't make it a sociopath. Like that really worries. I've tested it enough to know I don't like that.
Do you know it? Do you know the company that John Kittleson's working for? John, he works for a company called Versus. Versus. You should talk to him. So I don't know what the hell they're doing, but I mean, there's so many. It's crazy right now what's happening. Not necessarily with AI, but with all the businessy opportunity thing.
Yep.
And holy shit, everybody's got. It's crazy, man.
Well, it's Sean gave a talk, sometime last year, and he was joking when he was talking about putting AI in diapers, right? Because there's AI in everything. And you got in baby diapers. Well, our new state-of-the-art AI designed diapers don't come off.
Right.
Yeah, great. First-time parent trying to one-hand it. Can you imagine? So I saw an ad for Huggies, right? I think it was Huggies. I don't know, Pampers, whatever. Baby diapers, generic brand insert here.
I'm getting to that age. I'm gonna need.
Well, you call my dad about that. He got some pro tips. But anyways, it's the elastic waistband is basically set so the kid can't stretch it out enough because their little arms aren't long enough to stretch it out enough to get it off. And all I could think was, oh my God, I could imagine myself trying to do this diaper change in the back seat of the car on the side of the road, and all of a sudden I got a slingshot.
Well, what the hell was wrong with the old one?
Well, nothing. And there's a lot of lessons in that, actually. Jeff Mann talks about this. There is a need for us not to forget where we've come from. And turns out some of that stuff is still super valid. A lot of the hacking techniques I'm using on AI are actually multi-thousand-year-old methods.
It's changed.
So figure that out, right?
Yeah. So tell me let's talk about the state of the industry. So you and I are both mission-driven people.
100%.
Right? And we're here, to fix broken things in this industry. And you can pick anything, right? In your opinion, where are we at?
We are about to hand the keys over to a small handful of companies that have AI-enabled laser keys that'll keep your data safe and lose the last little bit of barely understanding how it works to begin with. So I'm actually quite concerned for our industry. I think our industry needs to be laser focused on pivoting. I promise you, and I can't get into the details for a lot of reasons, but I can assure you I have been to, and had conversations with people that lead me to believe things like networking about to go through a huge change. And how you do that, where it gets done. Is it manual? Do I really need to configure IP addresses anymore? And the answer is probably not soon, right? So as we look at that, as we look at AI being forced into the products, I didn't ask for Apple to put it on my phone, but it's there. I didn't ask for Microsoft to insert Copilot and then, screenshot me for, they claim whatever months they claim, just put an X to the 5 power on that. So I think as an industry, we gotta, this is our grow up moment. This is our, okay, what are we, 25, 30 years old at this point? 30, 40, maybe? I don't know. Somewhere in that range.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it doesn't, because I've always thought security's always been there, right? When you think of information security, because it's always had things to protect, whether it be physically or people.
Well, it goes back to you could take it back to the Byzantine Empire, right? Data security is not a new thing. Information security, not a new thing, right? We got scrolls, crypto using ciphers.
So I think I think a lot of people use it as an excuse. They use it as an excuse because there's no accountability. They're lazy. When I look at the way things are configured, the way people implement things today, we'll go back to the firewall thing, right? Mm-hmm. If I hire an MSP to install a firewall in my business, they install it. It's like, it would be like somebody building me a house and not putting any doors and windows in the house.
Well, you didn't ask for doors and windows.
Well, exactly. And so there's this
you asked for a house.
But if I'm the professional, I should know, right? So you leave, because I think You have a lot of people who,
But you're the professional house builder. You're not an architect, and you're not the window guy, and you're not the door.
I'm the professional firewall installer.
Right.
So what goes in?
Was it bolted down well?
What goes into installing a firewall?
Bolting it down and connecting it to power.
Well, that's where they leave it.
Correct, because that's installing it. Now we want to talk configuration, management, life cycle management.
But
and I'm being devil's advocate on this, right?
I know, and I love that because I've always been everything is about the truth, right?
Yeah.
Tell the truth.
Yeah.
And so there's lies of commission and lies of omission. So on the commission thing, all right, yeah, you can make a case for that. But then there's the lies of omission, right? Okay, then fine, tell the customer what comes next.
But that's not the installer, that's sales.
It's the same company, same representation.
I agree, but I think
there's no excuse for it. It would be fixing a car. I mean, at what point do you say, well, you didn't ask me to do? I mean, it's almost like, it's almost like,
but that's lawyers. That's because we got lawyers.
It's like developers from India, right? Developers from India only do what the hell I ask them to do.
I mean, maybe that's where that comes from a little bit. I don't know, but that's the problem, Evan. And then you get into the politics. So one of the things that I decided a couple of years ago was I would rather be destitute and live in the street than go back to work for corporate America. And with this forcing folks back to office and all that hot mess, like it's cultural. So when you ask me how our industry is doing, I want to talk a little bit about how is the culture of business, this cutthroat, backstab, lie, cheat, steal, fuck over and fuck under whoever you can to get one up, that permeates down to your staff. And frankly, most of the people in IT, if you were to sit them down and say, all right, so take the money out of it for a minute. Well, I do because I'm a nerd. I like this stuff, right? That's why I did it. And then I got paid. Now, there's a small percentage that go and gain the nerd skills. And it's purely, at that point, they could also be a beautician or a plumber or a window wiper. They don't give a shit. They're just earning, I labor for X hours. But if you have the love for it, so you take the time to do the research, you take the time to learn that your firewall made by company C, and then this other firewall made by company P, and the third firewall that you didn't know you had, but it's on the network made by company F, don't fucking play together. And the only way you can solve that is by getting the vendors, who is a relationship you do not control, to agree to do something they refuse to do. And I think that's the root of this. I think it's that the tech nerd says, hey, I got an interoperability problem. The manager says, we've got a vendor issue. The vendor rep says, what's going on? And they say, well, the problem is you need to get rid of those other two and just buy my shit.
Right.
And I'll give you a real sick deal on it.
Well, there's,
you know what I mean?
Well, that's definitely part of the problem is the accountability, just the lack of who is actually responsible for what, and because there's never a shortage of fingers to point, other things. So yeah, you could say, well, I hired you to install something, a firewall, an application, whatever, right? Intrusion detection system, whatever the hell you're installing. And you installed it, it functions, but it's half-assed. It's not complete. You did a half installation, in my opinion. And so you could claim it, well, it's sales, or it's this, or it's that. But at what point, I take pride in what I do.
Yeah, I see your gray hair.
Yeah, well, exactly. So if you hired me to install a firewall for you, it would be installed properly.
You mean it wouldn't be backwards from the ceiling held up by bungee cords?
And it would, be ingress, egress.
Right.
We'd have a maintenance schedule. Everything would be done. And yes, you would pay a premium for that. Because, I'm an expert. I'm supposed to be a fucking expert at this.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a professional. Right?
But I can hire a firewall guy from India for less money who says he can do it remotely.
Or from your neighborhood MSP. How many times?
Right. So they're going to rack it for me, and then they're going to call the third-party outsource that they have.
Yeah.
This is the truth that I interact with.
Yeah.
It's because you said this, I don't even know when, but you said this some time ago. And it holds so true more and more every day. There was a time when we knew exactly, we were counting kilobits. Nothing ran that I didn't know about, didn't approve, didn't know its value, its source. give me more resources on the server. I believe the rebuttal was get fucked.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we said, hey, all the resources, cheap, storage, nothing, RAM, nothing, memory, nothing. And so what happened was developers got told, don't worry, because they said, oh, no, we got memory leaks. Well, that doesn't matter. We got extra memory to spare. I mean, and I don't know.
Yeah, your fat loaded code.
Yeah. And I don't remember who, I think it was StunX that had a really wicked memory leak that basically they said, yeah, and it's never intended to last long, so who the hell cares?
Right.
How many of those prototype projects became critical infrastructure? How many times in our careers have we gone from barely working on my machine to slammed into production at scale 6 weeks later?
Right.
I mean, that I think has more to do with it. I don't know that it's laziness. There's a part of it. I know, but I got to fight you on this, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I've watched people, good people, strong people that are hungry and have a sandwich in front of them.
Yeah.
And they get told, if you do these things, you can have the sandwich. And then I come and I say, I'm sorry, but I'm now taking your sandwich away. And they look at me and they say, kill that man.
Yeah.
And I think what you find is that the folks that do want to do the right thing aren't willing to pay the ultimate price.
No, and I don't think laziness is.
You know what I mean?
I don't think laziness is at the root of all of this. I think, for the most part, there's a lot of practitioners in our industry who don't realize
what industry they're in.
Yeah, there's that, and they don't realize what they're doing. In their mind, they're actually doing really well.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes, and I have.
They go to bed at night and sleep well.
So I have an analogy for that.
And you have another person who comes, and looks at it like, what are you doing?
That's perspective. So I'll give you an example. Some of these scientists that I'm working with, absolutely brilliant. I mean, I would argue among the smartest people right now in the world. And they are very good at their science piece, but they don't think the way we think.
Right.
I've introduced hacker mindset. I was talking to some mechanical and electrical engineers, same thing. Okay, you guys have accounted for when it fails due to mechanical failure, but you didn't account for someone willfully making mechanical failure happen prematurely.
Yeah.
And the answer is, well, why would we think about it?
Well, bring it back to the perspective thing. So I agree, it is perspective. And that's the thing. The worst decisions you make in life are the ones that are out of context.
Yes.
When you have shitty perspective.
Yep.
Right? You haven't considered other people, how it affects other people, and those other things. So I totally agree with that. How do you help that? How do you change it? You know what I mean? How do you, because there's because there's also this undercurrent of intimidation in this industry.
I know.
Where people are afraid to admit that they don't know what they're doing. I need help. Help me out, brother. And then
because it's all cred shit.
And that blows out a whole bunch of imposter syndrome, because deep down you know that you don't know anything, and nobody else, God forbid anybody find out I don't know anything. And then you start to defend the fact that you don't know anything, like, well, bullshit, I hacked whatever. Okay, I don't care.
I took 2 jumper cables.
Right. And I don't want to rip on them, but how do we create an atmosphere where people can come and just admit that you don't know something?
Well, I think it starts with this. So human beings, what you're touching on is tribal in nature. So posturing is something human beings do.
I was a tribal.
Well, not tribals. No, because those
like tribal to me.
they just replicate everywhere.
Okay.
But humans have an aversion to exclusion. Okay. It's a DNA thing. It's a biology thing. Well, some of us are a little off, me too, but here's my point. So they are not wanting to say this part out loud. And I encourage everybody. I say this is my truth, and I know it's most likely yours too. And not just you, on everyone listening. I'm nothing more than a scared teenager with a little bit of money trying to pretend like I got my shit together while hanging on for dear life and praying to God nobody finds out.
I'm not like that, actually.
That's my everyday, man,
yeah.
Well, sure, because I don't have it all figured. I don't have all the answers, but I do have a desire to
you can truly come to peace with that.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. And what I'm referring to is people are living this experience where they're doing not what they believe, but what they believe is expected. They are saying and taking actions or inactions not based on their own comfort of their truth, but on the perceived, what does the world want of me? I mean, have you been on social media?
Well, yeah, fortunately, yes.
Okay, so if those people are really like that, I wish they would do it more in public because, it'd be entertaining. Oh, wait, they won't because they're not actually like that.
Right.
And so I just wonder
And that's part of this podcast.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's part of this podcast too, is to be authentic. The more you, there's lots of things, man. I mean, this is relational, right? Information security is relational.
Mhm.
Information security is a service industry. It's not a product industry.
Right.
And I think when you take the time to get to know people, right, sit across the table, talk about things, even things you disagree with, as long as it's authentic, man, you learn so much. You learn so much crap. You feel comfortable maybe in your own shoes. Because I was going to write, I think I haven't written, for a while. I've been busy squirreling. But I'm going to write a series of blog posts the next week or so about authenticity, about how important it is for your own mental health, how important it is for your quality of life in so many different respects. Because I see so many people in this industry who are not authentic. I mean, I don't know what they think inside because they don't share what they think inside, but I know the persona that they're presenting to me is bullshit. And you don't want to call it out necessarily. Sometimes you do. You know what I mean? It depends on how many people it's hurting. That one person that we were talking about, by the way, in the car.
Yeah.
That person.
Yeah.
Right? Inside, that person is a scared little shit.
Very much her child was the vibe I got.
Yeah. And he's coming off like, and this is, for the listeners, this is somebody who's very well known in our industry. It's our first episode.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to call it out now.
Yeah.
Give me some time. Episode 2, 3, 5. Start calling these things out. Well, there's that. And then the second thing is, I'm still trying to deal with the shakeup of the power trying to.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, you're doing well, man. You're doing well.
But it's things like that don't help anybody, right? Because if you're coming off like that person, if you're coming off as you're something more important, something better than you actually are, and actually you're probably, that's a whole another thing, but you're not just doing yourself a disservice.
Right.
Your quality of life isn't, because when he's alone, I can just imagine what he thinks of himself.
No idea, man.
Because he needs this external validation. He doesn't get validation from himself, from his life. He gets his validation from other people.
Right.
And the number of likes they get, or the number of talks he gets to give, or whatever.
Yep.
And so not only does he hurt himself, but everybody who worships people like that, because it does kind of become this like cult following, right?
It's an interesting phenomenon. Maybe I'll write something about that one day.
Yeah. He's hurting them.
I absolutely agree. And I think the problem is often and this is something I suffered from for quite a few years until I figured out nobody fucking wants my advice on their life, was not understanding that they don't see it the way I see it. Period.
Yeah.
And that doesn't invalidate my view or theirs.
Right.
Okay. And if I really want to be successful, and I kind of mastered the craft when I was with the K-12, how the fuck do you improve cybersecurity in public school system? What, 8, 9 years?
Yeah.
10, it's a while ago. The answer is stop talking to them like they're IT people and start engaging in school dialogue. I think every security professional owes it to themselves and the businesses they serve to have a basic functional knowledge of your business, what it does, why it does it, and the culture. Because we are in a service role. Okay? We're
products to serve.
We're a glorified drive-through guy that's handing you a bag of food at the end of the day. Right? And I mean that with all the love in the world. This isn't, there are aspects of cybersecurity that are incredibly difficult. They require an immense amount of skill and talent.
Right.
Just not the majority of it. Right?
It just requires some logic, man.
Well, and just doing. Talking about installs, firewall install. I just went to a state-of-the-art DNA facility. As a client, I'm assisting with some AI stuff. They're like, wait, you want to use AI for medicine? Hold on. The NAS is on the floor because it needed to be in close proximity to the medical device. It was installed by a vendor. managed by a vendor. It's on the floor in a wet chem location. Nobody heard of a pallet? Come on. And that's the thing, right? You don't need a $10,000 rack to get that thing off the floor. It's ugly as shit, but get a couple of milk crates.
Well, at what point do you lose patience and just call it the way you see it?
45. 45.
That's the age you do it?
Yep.
I'm 8 years past that.
Yep.
All right. Well, you just validated me a little bit there.
It's
Because
setting into my bones, buddy.
at what point do you that's stupid and just call it out? You know what I mean? Like, it's either stupid, it's lazy, it's something, right? I mean, my father, when I grew up, and at the time I disliked this rule.
Right.
But my God, thank you, Dad. My dad's, gone, moved on. And his rule was, if I have to tell you to do something, it's too late.
Yep.
And I thank God he did that, because I don't need somebody to tell me, okay, hey, Evan, I want you to install a firewall. I want you to install a door. I want you to install a window. And I don't just put it in there, tack it in. Okay, there you go.
But your dad properly prepared you.
Right.
He didn't send you to a 2-week fucking certification course that barely taught you how to wipe your own ass, slapped a sticker on you, and called you qualified.
Right.
I don't know. I wasn't in your home, but I suspect that your father never pulled that card on you for information that he knew you did not possess.
I don't know. It depends on his mood. I mean, he was a 20 Marine. I mean, mostly, yeah, that's true. But
like, he wasn't going to give you,
time,
like,
it was like,
if I gotta tell you how to reverse engineer this quantum computer, boy, I swear, I think.
well, but another thing that was taught, because some people think that rule would be unfair because it's not clear, right? It's not, you haven't properly set out expectations. But actually, it was super fair, because what it taught me was situational awareness. It taught me to pay attention, listen to what he's saying,
Sure.
watch him. If he comes home and he's having a bad day,
Yeah.
all right, let's go the extra mile. It's like, look around, like, okay, I could dust,
Sure.
something.
And some would say that's a trauma response.
No, it's because I didn't do it out of fear. I did it out of, I wanted the acceptance of my father. I wanted some,
Sure.
and I knew the rule.
Well, but I don't get it, with the exception of when you and I work together. I don't get acceptance, and that's the other thing. Like, I think there's a brokenness to the humanness. So I go back to something I said earlier about the corporate culture. I'm not encouraged to actually make a meaningful bond with anybody. I'm not encouraged to actually go the extra mile because there's extra benefit. If I go the extra mile, I get extra work. This weekend, next weekend, the weekend out. So the one Friday I stay 2 hours, I now set a precedent that I'm going to be working every weekend. Like, this shit happens all the time,
How
man.
many people ask themselves, like, in this industry, that are working in this industry, why are you here? Because
I don't know. I don't think many.
I wouldn't mind putting in, if I needed to put in an extra 2-3 hours of work without the recognition, and I know I'm weird, I would do it.
Well, no, I understand that. And many do.
Yeah.
By the way, back to my comments about health
agree.
and family and,
Yeah.
okay. But they a lot of times won't do it publicly. So they'll go home at 5 and they'll quietly work until 8 to solve the problem.
Right.
But the story that gets told is 5 minutes after I got here this morning, I figured the shit out. Not I was up half the night doing it. Because if they're honest, so you talk about authenticity and honesty. Just like you, I've been asked to leave a couple meetings. I've been asked not to come back to a couple things because I said some harsh truths. And the two things I find is either nobody wants to hear it because they already know it and they're trying to lie to themselves, or they hear it as an accusation against them.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
This is a can. Who the fuck are you to say that about me?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? I said it's a, you don't know my relationship with aluminum. You don't have a right to, and it's like all of a sudden
This auto defensive.
and to your point about change topic or attack character, there's this third phenomenon where they just spiral out.
Right. By the way, power's back on.
Oh, cool.
Because I can see down there.
It is quite beautiful.
Thank you. We can do the Barry White voice. So tell me about your information.
If you're interested in
Patches
for your
Why do you talk like that? You got to do Barry White. Do something deep.
What you talking about, Willis?
Barry White never said that.
Well, that's a damn shame. He should have.
Yeah, well.
That
I paid the fool.
All right. So, okay. Lots to unpack. Yeah. When you think about the industry, I mean, the current state of the industry is honestly, from my perspective, and there's billions, literally, of perspectives out there. This industry is worse today than it was when I started in this industry, and it continues to get worse. We continue to adopt new technology faster than our ability to use it responsibly. There's a continual lack of accountability. There's continual ignorance has never been more apparent than it is today. And so, I think that's another purpose of the podcast, is just to get that out there, because I was talking with Sean this morning, and I was talking about legal things. I'm not a lawyer.
Nope.
But I've worked enough with lawyers to witness the complete shit show. I mean, from complete incompetence to
willful negligence.
But nobody else sees it that way. I do, you do, they don't, and they get away with it. You know what I mean? So
they
that'll be a whole.
They do see it that way. That's the problem. And then they work very hard. I had a lawyer, very well-known lawyer, say this to me once. I said, "So, is it that you people don't know how to fucking speak and write normal?" Right. And they said, "No, Ryan, that's done on purpose to exclude you from our club."
Yeah.
And I'm like, so
yeah. And then which, for the good thing is, for a podcast like this, is it creates plenty of content.
100
for us to talk about. This episode, I wanted to open, and it's been beautiful. It's been awesome, because I wanted to open with just an introduction to this thing. I think it's kind of funny, and it's my life. This is how my life works, which is awesome too. To lose power, 20 minutes before the show is going to kick off.
100%. Yep. But I think that's part of why you and I have been such good friends over the years. I know this part of that. Really, you woke up and what happened? I got out of bed.
Well, the cool thing is it makes you, Sean and I were talking about this morning too. It's like, this is what makes me comfortable. Things like this. And that's the part of the wisdom too. I'm comfortable in chaos. And that's what's always, and it wasn't always this way, but that's why I'm a great guy to call in an incident. Not anymore, because I'll charge you too much money, because I don't want to do the work.
$1 million.
The team will do it. Is, the calmness and seeing the other side of this. Because worst case, there's always a worst case, right? So you try to think that back. Worst case, didn't get power, didn't get gas for the generator, didn't get the circuits up, didn't get this stuff down here, and we had no podcast. All right, it was the first damn podcast. Big deal. Because that and I'm not doing the podcast for the number of listeners. I won't get validation from that.
Right.
But I'll respect the listeners, the people that are listening. I do want to give them my best.
Yeah.
And so if today, if we didn't have a show because we couldn't do it, so be it. You know what I mean? I'd rather do that with 20 listeners or whatever now than maybe 200, 2,000 listeners later.
Right.
Right. So it's all good, man. So a couple things. What do you do for fun?
Well,
do you have fun?
I do, actually. I try to have fun every day of my life.
I know you do. All right. I was asking rhetorically for the listeners.
So one of the things I like to do for fun, since I travel so much, is have encouraging conversations with myself in the bathroom stall quite loudly. For example, I love to make people laugh. So part of my ridiculousness is to encourage uplifted spirits, smiles, happiness. So, giving a bang on the side of the stall wall and going, "Come on, we talked about this."
Shit.
Come on, buddy. Come on.
You do the wrong place, you're going to get shot.
I told you, if you come out. No. There's nobody in the next stall.
Oh, okay.
Usually I'll time this out with a couple guys at the urinals, but I'll just, be making a bunch of racket. And I'm like, we talked about this. Come out nice and easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, silliness, but I weld, I blacksmith, I fabricate, reverse engineer. Just got done teaching myself categorization theory, which probably doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but for me it was a hoot. Learning, touching my wife's butt, definitely into that.
I also
Consensually, of course.
appreciate that. Well, yeah, essentially it's good. When I was a drinker, I'm 23 years sober.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. And I used to hang out with the biker crowd. I still hang out with the biker crowd, but not like I used to.
Right.
And I never joined any of the clubs. You know, Bobby's over there, you know, he was in a club, 1%er club. I'm not going to say which one, but for a long time. And because when you said that, banging on the stall,
Yeah.
I was always an instigator. I always like to fuck with those guys, you know,
Yeah.
because I wasn't part of any one particular club.
Right,
So I could play all of the clubs,
Right,
you know,
right.
and I had friends in all of them. And so, but I'd always go into the bathroom and stand there and pee, and you got to time it, right? And I would say, nice watch.
Yep.
And then they would, you got to catch that. Like I said, you got to time it right. So
Yeah.
you want to catch them as soon as they start their stream,
Yeah.
if you can.
Yeah, so you can get away. Yeah.
And I'm either ending mine or I'm just waiting, you know, to say it. And then to see their reaction was always funny. Sometimes it ended up in, you know, shitty stuff. Sometimes most of the time it ended up with making a new friend.
Yeah.
Because they got the humor. They're like, dude, I'm going to use that too.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. But yeah, it reminded me. There was also reminded me of a time, wasn't there some like politician where we come from in Minnesota that I guess there was the signal if you want to proposition somebody in the bathroom.
Wide stance.
Well, and there's also the put your hand under, I guess, the stall thing or something like that.
Well, now hold on, because
for that.
Yeah, but legit though.
For some crime.
Well, yeah, because he was trying to solicit a knob job in the freaking airport bathroom.
Yeah.
But, you know, the hand under the stall wall could also be a desperate plea for help.
Well, I know.
Have you ever run out of paper?
No. I get that. But whatever he did was some well-known sign. Obviously, I don't know what that sign.
It was all I remember from that whole debacle.
Yeah.
Was the I think it was Carol Levin or whatever. It was like tonight at 6, Minnesota Senator blah blah wide stance.
I can go find out who that is.
Yeah, I don't even remember, but I remember the wide stance because yeah, that was the thing. That was the headline.
All right. So this has been great, man. Yeah, and I want to do this more with you because you're always, like I said, there's something about you, and I think
That's what the doctor said.
I know.
It's a disorder.
Well, and it's contagious. So thanks. No, there was something, and people, if they haven't told you this verbally, they should tell you this verbally.
Maybe not.
No, they should, because for all the flaws everybody's got, one of the things that's in my life that you're always known for is, like I said, lifting my spirits.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Always. I mean, there are times, and I think everybody needs to have people like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a shit day. I could talk to my wife about it. She's always there for me. She's a wonderful person. Sometimes she just doesn't get it. She doesn't, you know.
Well, she's got a different role to play.
Right. Well, and she can't empathize with something that she doesn't understand.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so
I can't go to mine with stuff like this.
Well, there's been numerous times where
just tell them to turn it off then.
Yeah, there's been numerous times where I picked up the phone and just called you.
Yeah.
And
I love getting your calls.
What I'll do is, because you get passionate about shit. I mean, you're a guy that, like, next thing I know, I don't know what the hell we're talking about anymore because you're just going. And I'm like, all right. So I usually just put you on speakerphone and I mute my microphone and I put you, I put it down and I'm like, it just feels good. I call, you know, the original purpose for my call was I needed a lift.
Yeah.
And I already got that. So I'm just going to let you ramble because that's part of the lift. So anyway.
It's the squirrels. I'm learning a lot about myself. Apparently, did you know, we'll close with this. Apparently, we have a second puberty.
What?
Yes. So women go now.
I do.
I'm living this right now. So the midlife crisis is actually its second puberty. So the scientists have figured out that the hormonal changes. I've been a cranky old man and in a perpetual midlife crisis from the time I was 5. So who knows? But yeah, so it's like it's a whole thing. And so for the guys out there, you know, love yourself. Not that way. Prostate health. Say you're sorry to somebody.
What happens in the second puberty?
Well, it's the thing.
Does my voice get deeper?
It does actually. That's
maybe I have gone through my second.
No, it's when you start to talk like this because freaking kids and your stupid firewalls. So no, what happens is you have one last woohoo, and then you start to decline.
What do you mean woohoo? Like
You know that.
Erection.
Well, I mean, that could or could not keep working for time to come. It's
No
that
pun
day.
intended.
It's that day where you wake up and your knee is no longer right because you made the mistake of going to bed the night before.
Shit, I've had that since the 20s. But usually that was chalked up to like a motorcycle accident.
Correct. No. I'm talking about just sleep, just straight sleep. Like
Okay.
so,
Oh yeah, I had that. Dude,
wake up with what did I do?
woke me up at 2:00 in the morning.
Yep.
My knee was like locked, and I was like, "What the hell?"
Welcome to second puberty.
But it was.
Growing pains in reverse. It's shrinking pains.
Yeah, so my wife, so I got out of bed and I'm like, I got to walk this off because I can't sleep with it. And Marla's, she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm walking off this.
This same injury.
Yeah. All right. So, so that was my second puberty.
Yeah, basically.
It's still going.
Yeah.
still
It takes a few. Yeah, it takes. No. The things breaking part just excel.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Everything's.
So basically, 43 to 63 is kind of the window for.
So after 63, you're saying that the penis is no longer going to work. Is that part of this?
No, I got a doc for that. We can write you a script. They got pump.
Typical, man. I can get all kinds of stuff.
Well, yeah, I was about to
I
say.
don't need no script. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
no, I
Trying to pluck.
so
This
take
is a very
care of your
important-
health.
It's a very important part of my life.
Well, they
Thing we're
make
talking
medicine
about.
for that. They make medicine.
I don't need it yet.
And for all the ladies, my wife is part of a
yeah, that's
successful
right.
study
Yeah.
that has shown that Cialis is effective for women. So if you've got some low libido, consider talking to your sexual health doctor. And if you don't know who to talk to, go to healthyhooha.com.
Like it. Yeah, she's been doing that for a while, and she's doing really well.
That girl is out there single-handedly battling the entire medical industry so that women get better quality of vaginal and sexual health care. So, yeah, she's a champion.
All right, well, let's close. So next week it'll be Michael Kennedy.
I like Mike.
I love him, man. We were spent some time together last week. Mike Kennedy is the founder. He's no longer the CEO, kind of like me. Founder of Ostra, stepped out of the way as you continue to kind of grow people. And yeah, it's going to be a fun conversation. Tech should be fixed by then. You're going to come back, hopefully.
Heck yeah.
Multiple times as we, continue.
Physically and virtually. You know the deal, man. Just hit me up.
Yeah, and I want you to bring your dad down here again, and I want you to bring his friend, and yeah, bring people, man. That's why that's why the house is full right now.
See, I told you he really meant it.
I'm telling you, man. That's why the house is full. The belief and the truth is, when you've been blessed, you bless other people. With it. You don't keep it to yourself.
That's right.
That's bullshit. It's selfish. And so the fact
Giving it away lets you enjoy it more.
God, dude, and I can't even tell you the feelings I get. And you don't take for granted the things that are so easily taken for granted, like the view, the sunsets, and all that stuff. Because when people come and share it, God, that's beautiful. You're like, yeah, that's right. You forget it. Being reminded
day to day, right? It becomes the background of life. And,
yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks, dude. I'm
Mike
excited.
next week, and then you're going to come back again. We'll have the tech squared away. I'm super, super excited to spend the rest of this week with you and go to Metallica. So we're going to Metallica on on Sunday. I'm getting another tattoo. I got a tattoo today.
I'm going to have me some whiskey in a jar, yo.
Dude, it's going to be a lot of fun. So we got 5 guys going to Metallica, and I couldn't.
Only 3 are coming back.
Yeah, but I couldn't. It would be hard to pick a better group of 5 people to go with.
Oh, this is going to be a hoot.
Because you guys are all like good people. I mean, we're not going to end up arrested or anything.
No. Not on purpose.
No, but some people that are my friends, if I would have gone with them, yeah, it'd be bad. So, all right, well, we'll wrap this thing up, man. Again, thank you, brother. I love you. I love you.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me on, man.
All right, close it.